Hello and welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Holt Training and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be talking to you more about how to build core stability. Now core stability is very different to core strength, so we're going to be focusing on core stability and how we can go about building that. We're going to be using one exercise and we're going to be using a few progressions for that exercise, but what we want to understand is the principles that I'm talking about within these exercises. So we can then take those principles out into other exercises as well, because it's not just this one exercise. There are many exercises out there that can help build and improve core stability. Before we get into the exercise and learn how to build core stability, just want to quickly mention my social media. So you could go to Christopher Holt Training on Facebook or Christopher Holt on Instagram. Please do like and follow. It'd be great to have you there, and I'm sharing these videos every single week, multiple times, so you can keep learning about core strength, lower back pain, and improving posture. Alternatively, if you go to the link in the description, you'll go through to my How to Build Core Strength and Stability 12-week program, where you can learn more exercises like this and principles like we're about to talk about, and improve both core strength and core stability over a 12-week period. So many thanks for watching, and I will look forward to speaking to you in the tutorial. How we build core stability is different to how we build core strength. Core strength is about holding a posture for a period of time. What we want to be able to do now with stability is be able to get the muscles timing so we aren't wobbling. So there's an element of balance training to it, but what we aren't going to be doing, we aren't going to be up on one foot, because that's going to introduce the ankle and allow the ankle to become very dominant in that exercise. So it's much more about ankle stability. We're going to take the ankle out of the equation and we're going to go down onto our knees. So we're going to come down into this position on our hands and knees. As soon as we come down onto our knees, the ankle is out of the equation. So we're now starting to focus a little bit more on hip and spine stability now. Obviously we've got the arms on there as well. So we're then going to be focusing on shoulder, spine and hip stability, which essentially that is the core, the shoulder, the spine and the hip. So this is where we're going to be getting stable. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce an element of balance to it. Now, for the people that are at more of a beginner level here, what you want to do is we come into this box position. So we've got hands below shoulders, knees below hips. That's our start position. We then find that neutral position. So we're not rounded, we're not overarched, we're somewhere in the middle in that nice neutral or elastic equilibrium. So we come into that position. Now, if we're a beginner, we might just start with one arm and just coming up and just maintaining balance. Then we come back down. Then we go with one leg. Again, we gain balance. Then we repeat with the other arm. And then we go with one leg and back. So we're not looking to in a sense, try to make you unstable and fall over. That's not the point. What we want to be able to do is allow the muscles to time in a safe environment, so they can feel challenged, but it doesn't feel like you're gonna completely collapse and fall flat on your face. That's not the point of it. So if you are a complete beginner, you might want to start with something like that. As we then progress, we then come into a more traditional, what's called bird dog exercise. So we then go into this position. So now we've got my right arm on the floor and my left knee on the floor. Then what we do is we hold this position until we've got nice level shoulders, nice level hips. So we're not sort of rolling around trying to fight and hold that position. We come into that position and we're stable. Once we get to there, we can then start progressing. So if you start with one limb, then move on to two limbs, that transition between one limb and two limb is when you're completely stable in that position. Come down, completely stable in that position, completely stable in that position, and then completely stable in that position. That's when you know you're ready for the next step, which is one arm, one leg, and the opposing sides of the body. And what you should notice from that is my posture and position. So I've got that neutral position in the back. So when I lift my arm and leg, that position doesn't change. So I'm not coming up here and I'm not staying down here. I lift my heel, I bring my toes towards my shin, and I hold there. I can even clench my fist and keep my shoulder down into the rib cage, and then I create good tension through the core to be able to hold it nice and steady. So what that should look like from the front is you're in this position, we come out and we're nice and stable. Then we come down and we hold like so, and then down. And even when we're putting our knee back to the floor, so again, when I lift this knee, I'm not lifting it up and going back, I'm sweeping it backwards and coming into that position. And then I sweep it forwards back into that position, because that's what's going to keep it in position. What a lot of people do is they go up and out. So they've already created, in a sense, an instability because you've rotated your body. And then when they come down, they come in and back down and then up the other side. So all the time their hips are going like this as they do it, which is in a sense not creating stability through the hip. So we want to be able to keep that from one leg and one arm, back down, again, other side. So the hips aren't rocking up and down between each of the reps. So we want to be holding that position. So that's going from a very beginner's starting on one limb, up then into a traditional bird dog, again keeping straight arm, straight leg, keeping hips and shoulders nice and level. What we can then do is we can then move on to a narrower stance. So all that means is coming into a narrower stance here. So I've now got my hands inside my shoulders rather than below them. So they're inside my shoulders, my knees are slightly inside my hips, and then I just do exactly the same. I come out and I hold. Again, I'm a little bit more on a tightrope. Then I come back down and then I come out the other side. So you might be able to see I'm starting to use my hand to maintain a little bit of stability. And there's a little bit of rocking in there because I'm now coming away from a wide stable base into a narrower, more unstable base. But again, I'm not coming from that wide position to narrow position straight away. I'm waiting until I'm completely solid and level in this position, and then I come into the more narrow position. So through all of that, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, in a sense, we want the exercise to trigger some kind of anti-rotational movement. So instead of the rotation of the hip dropping and the shoulder lifting like that, we want it to be an anti-rotation. So as we lift, it doesn't allow that to happen. So as you're selecting exercises with regards to core stability, these are the ones that you want to be choosing. The ones that sort of instigate an anti-rotation. And again, you can find those in my 12-week core stability program. The final one we're going to do is, in a sense, the hardest one, and we're going to lift the toes from the floor, because what you might find is when we have our toes on the floor, we've got an extra point of contact here. So we've got 1, 2, 3 points of contact. What we can do to start with is we can go into that position. So where we've still got the point of contact, they're not as active in the position. So we're here. So even in that wider position, it's slightly harder, and I can feel the hips and the shoulders working a little bit harder to keep that position because the toes have been taken, in a sense, sort of out of the equation, but not completely. So you've got that option, just to drop the toes away from the ankle a little bit. If you then want to take it to another level, you can lift the toes up completely. So now we've literally got 1 and 2 points of contact. So as we come up now, it's much harder to hold that position. But, you can see I'm starting to really work to hold that stability. Then I come over. Got my toe down. In fact, it's come out of there. So we're here. We've got that one. We're down. And again, out, holding, the position. Again, working very hard to keep that position. So as you can see there, that is the most unstable position because I'm losing that third point of contact. But again, we only go to that part if we can get the previous part, if we can sort of be either competent or sort of master that previous progression, then we move up. So when you're selecting those core stability exercises, that's what you want to be focusing on. Am I challenging my balance, but am I challenging it from the hip upwards rather than am I stood on my feet where there's a lot of ankle influence within that. So if we want to get to the core, we've got to be thinking hips and shoulders. Many thanks for watching. Those are sort of 4 different exercises, but one exercise as a progression that you can start using to develop your core stability. Now that's just one exercise within my core strength and stability program. So if you're interested, just go to the link below, click the link, you'll go through to the page. You can then enroll in the 12-week program and start the workouts that you can do every single day. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from Christopher Holt Training. I will speak to you in next week's tutorial.